or ways in which government would spend. So for government to spend, government cannot just start spending. So it simply means government would have come up with policies. So these policies are what we call fiscal policy. So a fiscal policy is a policy that is set up to control, to increase government spending within the economy. So if government has to spend, it has to be fiscal policy. So fiscal policy talks about spending and taxation to control or to manipulate the economy. So here it says typically, the second paragraph there, typically changes in government spending reflect changes in priority about how to spend money. A government might choose to spend more on education and less on defense next year. For example, these decisions will depend partly on the political priorities of the government in charge. Government will also have different views on the role of government spending to correct market failures. Okay. However, changes in government spending can also be made deliberately to affect total spending in the economy. The government may want to level the economic activity to increase or decrease. Higher government spending can boost total spending and so affect variables such as unemployment and inflation. In particular, during recession, when the unemployment is rising, government may choose to increase government spending. This should reduce unemployment and boost demand in the economy. If the economy is expanding rapidly, the government may choose to reduce government spending. This should reduce demand in the economy and reduce inflation. So, similarly, what they are trying to say is this: government will spend. So, but for government spending, it depends on the government of that day and its objective, what its macroeconomic objective is at that point in time. So government spending would increase aggregate demand within the economy, and it is meant to boost the economy. And during recession, government might have to spend during recession, because during recession, aggregate demand is expected to fall, and if aggregate demand falls, it affects employment. A lot of people will be unemployed, and income level would fall. So at that point in time, government would want to spend to increase the aggregate demand within the economy. And if government feels that demand within the economy is increasing so much or rapidly, which is bringing about inflation, government will cut its spending. So every situation has government intervention. But it is important for government, because every situation might bring about market failure. So it is important for government to intervene. So government intervention is done through policy, which one of them is fiscal policy. So do we understand fiscal policy now?
When the government interferes.
Government intervenes through spending or taxation. Any question about that? Good. So the current level of
So fiscal policy is depending on government's spending and government spending and taxes and government borrowing.
Not depending. What the government
fiscal policy is the use of government spending or taxation to control, to manipulate, or to correct market failure.
Or to prevent market
failure. They say here
to correct. Borrowing, yeah. Why would government borrow? Government is borrowing because it wants to spend.
Yes.
So basically, when we talk about fiscal policy, it's just about how government wants to spend and how it wants to get that spending from, where it needs to source for that spending. I think it's clear. So that takes us down the lane. So this is without okay. The impact of changes in government spending on total spending in the economy depends on levels of taxation. So government would not spend. So the impact, so the extent to which government will spend is still based on the impact of taxation. So if government is increasing taxes, now they said.
So they spend less.
No. They said if the government raises taxes by the same amount as a rise in its spending, there might be little impact on total spending in the economy. So if government is increasing taxes and at the same time increasing spending, there's no impact within the, because government wants to spend at the same time it's increasing taxes. So it's balanced. It's not going to have any impact. But if government is increasing its spending and it reduces taxes, it's going to have a huge impact on spending. So that is the point here. So that means taxes have impact on government spending. Is it clear? So now it takes us to talking about budget deficit or fiscal deficit, or budget surplus or fiscal surplus. There's budget deficit or fiscal deficit if government expenditure exceeds government spending. If government spending exceeds government revenue from taxes, that's a budget deficit or fiscal deficit. Then we have fiscal surplus or budget surplus. If government spending is less than government receipts or revenue. So that means government revenue is greater than government spending. Okay. So that is surplus.
So budget surplus is when government's revenue exceeds government expenditure, and a deficit is when expenditure exceeds revenue.
Yes.
Okay.
Clear. So go to export and import. Are you there?
Yeah.